Case of corruption here in Virginia. This one's a doozy. Senator Phillip P. Puckett, he's a Democrat of Russell's, theoretically, decides that he's going to step down, he's going to resign. Perfect timing for his resignation, as it turns out. And then it winds up that he's going to get some interesting jobs. Now, look at all these coincidences that unfold. He's going to become the deputy director of the State Tobacco Commission, a commission that's run by Republicans. Now, he's a Democrat, okay? Now, if he was the director, it would run through the governor, and the governor is a Democrat, but it doesn't run through the governor. The Republicans decide because he's deputy director. Now, that's a plum job, and he's very, very happy to get it, presumably, and it's got a nice salary to it. But if that weren't enough, his daughter also gets a judgeship that he wanted her to get. Okay, now, all for a resignation. Why? Well, it turns out that that would swing the balance in Virginia Senate from the Democrats controlling to the Republicans controlling. They would be down one Democrat. And all of a sudden, because it's so close, the Republicans would be in charge. Well, as it turns out, because we had Terry McAuliffe, who's a Democrat, win the governor's race in Virginia, he was going to expand Obamacare and hence expand Medicaid to cover 400,000 uninsured people in Virginia. Now, that's a lot of people to cover. That would have been great for them. They were uninsured. They would have gotten insurance. If they got sick, we would have helped them. And they could have even had preventative care so they don't get sick, etc. But the Republicans hated that idea. And they were willing to stoop to anything to make sure those people never get covered. Damn Obamacare actually covering people with insurance. How dare he, right? So, 400,000 uninsured Virginians, sad day for you. Now, when they go to talk to the guy who is running the commission, this is Delegate Terry Kilgore. He's a Republican. He's chairman of the commission that they gave this great job to for Phil Puckett, which is a great name. He says, well, I mean, I didn't say he was going to get the job necessarily if he resigned like we wanted him to. Quote, if he's available, we would like to have him because of his knowledge of the area. And he formerly was on the Tobacco Commission for years, and he knew what we're about. So, golly gee, is he available now? Oh, well, he became available, so yeah, we were going to give him the job. I'll get to the questionable timing more so in a second. In fact, here, let me get to it now. To give you a sense of why they had to do it now, one, it was the razor-thin margin. Number two, even if they have a special election in Puckett's area, the district that he represents, it's actually a Republican district. It happened to be held by a Democrat for all this time, but the Republicans are likely to capture it even if they have that special election. But they might not even need that because it turns out there's a couple of Democrats that are on vacation right now. They would call the vote immediately on the budget, and then they would have a much better chance of winning. And so that's why they put all the pressure on him to resign and take those great jobs for himself and his daughter immediately. Okay? And then the Democrats would have to try to scramble back from their vacation, et cetera. Now, the thing is, the Republicans already control the House in Virginia, so they were going to block this Medicaid expansion anyway. The whole point of this was that if there's a government shutdown, which is likely, because now Terry McAuliffe, the Democratic governor, is likely to veto the bill, okay, for the budget because they don't have the Medicaid expansion, they want to be able to blame the Democrats instead of themselves. If the Senate had blocked it, if the Senate had, controlled by the Democrats, had put it forward, and the House had blocked it, controlled by the Republicans might get the blame from the government shutdown. Now they play these political tricks, and they say, you see that? It's the Democrats' fault that we had a government shutdown, and golly gee willikers, what could we do? It turns out we will not be increasing and expanding Medicaid, we will not be doing Obamacare, and it's all the Democrats' fault. That's what this was for. Now, when they asked Senate Minority Leader Thomas K. Norman Jr., who will soon be the Majority Leader, he's a Republican, about this, he says, although Senator Puckett has decided to end his tenure in the Senate of Virginia, his legacy there will endure. Okay, yes, his legacy of ridiculous, brazen corruption. It's almost as if this guy's laughing at us. Listen to his next comment, okay? This is the Republican leadership that got him to resign. He says, and his commitment and service to the people of Southwest, who honored him with their votes in 5 successive elections, will continue. In other words, you idiots were stupid enough to give him your votes for 5 straight elections. He honored you by taking our money and letting us rule so you don't get insurance. Well, That part is true, okay? Now, of course, he's not laying it out like that, but you can almost see him winking and nodding through that quote. All right, now we move on to back to Terry Kilgore. Now he says, look, wait, we gave him the deputy director job. What else? How about his daughter? Well, he says, it should pave the way for his daughter. She's a good judge. I would say he wanted to make sure his daughter kept her judgeship. A father's going to do that. Yeah, we bribed him. We bribed him with what we did. We bribed him with what his daughter is going to get, etc. Okay? So now, by the way, this is all could be considered illegal. Think Progress explains. Under Virginia's bribery law, it is a felony for a state lawmaker to accept or agree to accept from another any pecuniary benefit offered, conferred, or agreed to be conferred as a consideration for, or to obtain or influence the recipient's decision, opinion, recommendation, vote, or otherwise exercise discretion as a public servant or party official. Now, normally they're used to just leaving their jobs and then taking huge money as lobbyists from their donors. There's the famous case of Billy Townsend, who did a healthcare bill under George W. Bush and then immediately quit and took millions of dollars from the top lobbyists who helped craft that bill through Billy Townsend. I mean, it was brazen. In fact, Obama even mentioned it in one of his commercials in 2008. So normally it seems like, well, okay, it's outrageous, but what's even more crazy is that it's not illegal. But in this case, they're saying in Virginia it actually might be illegal. It depends on whether you think this was part of his discretion as a public servant and that he was getting a quid pro quo, meaning directly getting this money at this new job in order to quit so that it would influence what happened in the legislative body. Well, that's an interesting question. So, in a bit of a panic, former Senator Puckett immediately resigned from his job. Did I get caught? I mean, well, you know, since the Washington Post ran that story, and now I might be facing felony charges, all of a sudden I've decided, I have ethics, of course. I meant no, I don't want that job. I was going to resign anyway. So, by the way, if he took that job as compensation for resigning, the fact that he's not taking the job anymore wouldn't actually protect him. He would still be liable under that law. And by the way, the people who bribed him would also be liable and could also face felony charges. Now, this day and age in America, there's almost no such thing as bribery because it's all bribery. So no one actually gets prosecuted for it because the other politicians are like, I want to do that next year. So what am I going to do, prosecute this guy? So I would be shocked if there were any legal ramifications to this. In fact, one of the reasons the Republicans were mad in the first place is because Terry McAuliffe, who is the Democratic governor, got an endorsement from Republican operative Boyd Marcus, and then right after the election, the Republican who had endorsed him wound up with a six-figure salaried position at the Virginia Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, appointed by Terry McAuliffe. So you think those guys are going to prosecute the Republican for doing the same kind of dirty tricks? This is America as we know it now. Democracy's gone. All we have is this political shenanigans and nothing but corruption through and through. Throw all the bums out. Wolf-pack.com. Send a pack after them. Not the kind of pack they're used to. Send a wolf pack after them. If you don't get money out of politics, they're going to do these tricks all day, all year, all decade long. And you're never going to be able to stop it. Get a constitutional amendment. Every generation of Americans has done it, even against the most impossible odds, including women who had no right to vote and got a right to vote through an amendment anyway. Yes, we can fix this. But you're not going to fix it by twiddling your thumbs and going, oh, boy, God, boy, I hope the authorities in Virginia do something about this. They're not going to do anything about it. We're going to do something about it. Wolf-pack.com.